Wake up, the footy's back!
Did you hear that?
It's back! Let's go!
Good day everyone and welcome to another edition of Tuesday Night Live, brought to you by Crowcast, of course. And it wouldn't be Tuesday night without the presence of everyone who's joining us on Discord and on YouTube. Don't forget, we are live and interactive, so if you're on Discord and you're in the stage there and you want to have your say like Arab Crow did on Sunday night, I was very proud of the boy, then stick your hand up. We'd love to have you on and hear what you've got to say. And if you're on YouTube, of course, if you want your chat message highlighted, you can chuck in a super chat and we will make sure that we read that one out. Of course, all that aside, the person that we really want to speak to is Macca. How you going, Mac?
Very well, mate. Very well. As we said before, I'm a little bit tired to go to bed too late, but, you know, we'll perk up. We'll always perk up during this show.
We don't want to hear about your nocturnal activities, Macca.
I couldn't tell you all my nocturnal activities.
And we're all better off as a result.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are.
Oh, and away we go, off to a fine start. No, good to have you on board, mate, again, and a bit to talk about this week. Obviously, we had a good win on Thursday night against that other team. Who was it again? Bloody Carlton. A bit of a slog in the second half, but we were sort of back to a little bit of our former selves in the second quarter after a slow start.
Yeah, I think you read my notes. That's what I've got written.
I always
down
read
here.
That's the only reason I know what to say, mate. I read your notes.
Right. Yeah. No, as you said, it was really a bit of a slog of a game, really, wasn't it? And scoring was at a premium, so you know, it always is. But it wasn't the first quarter. There was plenty of goals kicked the first quarter, but after that, you know, every goal counted after that, particularly when the rain came. So yeah. What I did like about it, I just think we just fought it out better than they did, with a little bits of brilliance from people like Shelley and Rankin.
Yes, good effort from both of those lads, actually. Rankin, a nice little welcome return to form, mate.
Yeah, and I think this is the start of him. I think he'll be even better next week.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope, because we need him up and firing, don't we?
Yeah, well, but he's very much a confidence player. You know, you saw by his first couple of efforts coming back, he was not feeling like he was the guy he really is. And this particular game, he started to actually, you know, you could tell that he was starting to get a little bit of that layer anywhere. He really feels like he's the man, and I'm expecting that to continue and just grow as the weeks come and go.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's do what we always do to start off Tuesday night, mate, and we will go through the gather round results. And before we do, though, how good another record attendance across the weekend, despite all the adversity of the fuel prices and the flights and the accommodation gouging, and the weather was shit, but we still managed to get a good result.
Yeah, really, when you think about it, the forecast was absolutely shit house anyhow. It was everybody who came across from the various statesmen, you know, the majority from Victoria, but there were Western Australians there as well, I noticed.
Quite a few Western Australians.
Yep. So you got to hand it to them. They knew what they were in for, but they still came, and they've all said as they left that it was a great bloody atmosphere, and they're really delighted they came. And I've got to hand it to Malinauskas. He's really got a great show running, and I don't think the AFL have got any other option than to renew the contract with him. No other state can do it like this.
No, from what I've read, there's some talk about Mally having a dip for a state of origin or something, which is having an impact on discussions. That'll be interesting to work out what that's all about. And Ebony Marinoff raised a good point too on radio, and I think she raised it direct with Andrew Dillon. What about incorporating the AFLW?
Doesn't do it for me, mate. It doesn't. And that's nothing against the women. This is a gather round of the AFL teams, male. They could have their own separate one somewhere if they wanted. That's fine. But no, I just think it's an unnecessary complication.
Oh, I disagree. I think it would be fantastic to have curtain raisers of SANFL games, and I think it would be fantastic to have a curtain raiser of a State of Origin game between the AFLW, maybe Victoria versus the rest kind of situation.
That might work. That latter one might work. But do you reckon we really want to see? You might. I don't. But people. There'll be.
I think when you're discussing this, you've got to take into account the broader appeal, just not your own opinion, Macca. I don't watch a lot of AFLW, but I can see a lot of merit in having the AFLW involved in some capacity.
Well, the Adelaide Ovals are sellouts anyhow. So really, if you're going to have them, how about bloody Barossa and Norwood?
Well, aren't you trying to promote the AFLW competition?
No, I'm not.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's not about you, bro.
No, but you're asking my opinion, and
you're basing your opinion on what you like, and what I'm saying is that you need to look at the bigger picture. And from the bigger picture point of view, the AFLW is not going away. As much as you hate women wearing shorts and kicking footballs, the AFLW is not going away. So in that respect, the fact that it's not going away, it needs to be promoted to make it more viable. And one of the ways you do that is you get it in front of a lot of people.
Look, one thing I do, I actually watch every AFLW game that the Crows play. So I'm not against that. What I'm saying is the gather round is a gather round of all the AFL teams. That's what the focus is. It doesn't need the
focus.
But it doesn't need all the extra little things that you try to talk about, like throwing the women there, playing their games. Just leave it as it is. People are very happy with it as it is.
Well, that's fine. But I humbly disagree. Mike says Macca's allowed to have his own opinion. I'm allowed to debate it as well. Thanks, Mike.
You're allowed to have your opinion. I agree, but I don't agree with yours, and you don't agree with mine. So I think that's where
I just think it'd be a good opportunity to promote the AFLW competition. To have, I wouldn't say have a full round of AFLW, but certainly some sort of state game or representative game of some sort. I think would help promote the AFLW competition. I also think it'd be a really good opportunity to promote the state league by having the SANFL round played as curtain raisers. Great opportunity for a lot of kids playing in the SANFL to play in front of big crowds. And I think it's a celebration of football, not a celebration of AFL, and it's a celebration of football in South Australia. So it'd be fantastic to have representative games and state league games and all that tied into it as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the title says it all, playing gather round, which is the gathering around of the 18 AFL teams, and that's
no, it doesn't. It's called gather round, not gather round of the 18 AFL teams. I didn't see that little subtitle in any promotional material distributed, Macca. So you just made your own point, didn't you?
No, and it also hasn't got added in to gather round of anything that Theme thinks of you might want to have up before the games. So it doesn't have that either. So simply, I think it's working beautifully as it is. Don't bugger it up.
Is it going to hurt it?
I think it doesn't need it. It just doesn't need it.
No,
just leave it as it is.
That wasn't my question. Is it going to hurt it?
I don't know whether it's going to hurt it or not. I don't think it's going to advantage it. I don't think it's going to add anything.
it will add. I guess my point is that it will add to those other competitions. It will assist those other competitions without detracting at one little bit from what Gather Round already is.
Well, I think we're never going to agree, Flan, so I think we'll just leave it at that.
Well, I think we should probably take the mini league away at half time, because there's nowhere in the title that says the AFL Gather Round plus 100 freaking school kids.
If you want to do it, Flan, do it.
No, I'm just going by your directive.
Oh, I'm saying
anyway,
I'm happy as it is.
Let's move on. All right. So the first game that we need to talk about, of course, is Collingwood versus Fremantle, which was an absolute rubbish game. Fremantle, in the end, deciding to kick a couple of goals late and get up 7-3-45 to 5-9-39. Collingwood not able to take their chances, and Fremantle at the end were Dacos 31, Chris 23, Josh Dacos 23, for Freo, Jordan Clark 27, Luke Ryan 25, Caleb Sarong 24. Goal scorers for Collingwood, Chris 1, Anderson 1, and Membry 1 for Freo, Amos 2, Dudley 2, and Shai Bolton 1. What a shit game that was.
Well, I said it was just a slog in wet conditions. And scoring was at an absolute premium. And in the end, I mean, Collingwood actually led by 4 points at three-quarter time. It was just the accuracy in the last quarter. They won it for Freo. They kicked. Both sides had 3 shots for goal. One kicked 2-1. The other one kicked 0-3. And Billy Frampton, ex-Port, ex-Crows, and probably ex-Collingwood soon, he gave away the winning goal, really, with a terrible kick-off of a point and straight on their bloody chest of the opposition who kicked the goal. But apart from that, no, it was a rubbish game, but Freo, as you said, they got up. That's all.
Collingwood struggling a little bit this year, in danger of not making the 10, Mac.
Well, they certainly won't make top 4, and they'll be very lucky to make the 8. They'll be very lucky to make the 8. And as you said, I think they'll probably make top 10, but, you know, they're no threat to any flag this year. Oh,
God, no. Brisbane overcoming North Melbourne after the Kangaroos gave them a bit of a fright early. Brisbane 13-14-92 to North 9-12-66. For the Lions, we had Lachie Neale with 30, Zach Bailey, the future Crow, with 21, Hugh McCluggage with 20, and for North, Sheasel had 30, Simpkins 27, LDU had 27. Goal scorers, Oscar Allen 3, continuing his good form with his new club. Zach Bailey 2, Lincoln McCarthy 2. For North, we had Trembath 2, LDU 1. What's his name? Blamiras 1.
Blamires.
Yeah,
Blamires.
I don't know how you say it. Yeah.
I think it's Blamires, I think they say, but
okay.
It doesn't matter. You've been reading my notes again. I've got Bailey the future Crow written down here too. I don't know how you do it, mate.
Well, I lost the page about AFLW, but anyway.
Well, it's wet and windy. I didn't have that page. Very wet and windy at Barossa Park. Look, North Melbourne put up a very good first half. They were only 6 points down at half time, but you know, Lachie Neale. Our future man Bailey, he was very good too. But Ashcroft was tagged out of the game. Not when I say tagged out of the game, he was tagged down to a very reasonable game and took a lot of his impact out. They lost Zorko he did his leg in and the old man leg and the hammy and I think it was the first or second quarter. So, you know, in the first half they were in it, but then then the boys got to work, and particularly Lachie Neale and Bailey, that they were the main two that really got them going, and they've got so much strength around the ground that they just they comfortably won by 26 points in the end.
26 points,
and, yeah, and I think North Melbourne they've found a future star in Cooper Trembath. He's only played 3 games, but God, he looks good.
Yeah, he does look all right, doesn't he? Looks a likely type, as they say.
Yep.
All right. Now, the upset of the round and probably the season so far, maybe, only because Melbourne had a good win the week before, but the Bombers getting up by 45 points, 17-11-113 to 10-8-68. For the Bombers, we had Archie Roberts with 42 touches, if you don't mind. Darcy Parish with 34. Zach Merritt 31. For Melbourne, Jack Steele had 28. Keziah Pickett had 28, playing really well. Max Gawn as well with 22 touches. Goal scorers, Essendon, Dersma had 2. Kako had 2. Caddy had 2. For Melbourne, Keziah had 2. Max Gawn had 1. And Tom Sparrow had 1. Melbourne looked insipid up forward, Macca, apart from the little fella when he was down there, and Essendon just far too good.
Well, they were. You call it a major upset because the D's have been pretty good form before that, but they dominated the second half between 11-3 to 2-6. I mean, that's an absolute bloody pasting after half time.
It's a shellacking.
I mean. And really, I suppose in the end, for Melbourne, only Gawn and Pickett could hold their heads high because they got beaten everywhere else. And the Dons were led by Roberts. I mean, he was outstanding with 42 disposals, if you don't mind. And Merritt had his usual 31. Parish had a reasonable game with 34. And then a heap of the others joined in. Overall, it sounds strange talking about Essendon, too much talent.
You said Zach Merritt with his usual 31. Didn't you bag him last week for having a down game?
He had a shitter last week.
Yeah, so it happens to the best of them.
Cool.
All right, Sydney Gold Coast was an entertaining game, even though the margin in the end blew out a little bit, 5 goals. But Sydney getting up 14-16, 100 at Gold Coast, 9-14, 68. Bit of a reality check, I reckon, for Gold Coast. Rao had 32, took Miller 26. Noble 24 for Gold Coast, and for Sydney, Heaney had 33, playing really well. McInerney 27, Mills 25. Goal scorers for Sydney, Patley with 3, Heaney with 2, Warner with 2, and for Gold Coast, Ben Long had 3, Jed Walder 2, and Ben King 2. Why do they always play this on? I reckon one of the things, and I was going to talk to you about this afterwards, and we'll talk about it afterwards, Mac, but I reckon the fixturing was shit this year.
I want to totally agree with you on that. It's a bit worthy of discussion because it was shit. Sydney and Sunderland at Norwood, well, it was just a wet, windy game. But before the game, I thought Witts might be too tall for Grundy. Grundy played the bloody game of his life then.
He's in good nick at the moment.
He was outstanding. Not only did he dominate getting the ball in the ruck and that, 15 tackles on top of that. The guy was really good. He playing insane football. And, and Heaney's right back to his very best. He's an outstanding player. He's a pleasure to watch. So is Warner. When those two are firing, well, Sydney fires. And, they were just too good. A lot of the Suns' mids were down a bit. They're struggling a bit at the moment, the Suns.
Yeah, they are a bit. They're not 100%. You probably think, well, okay, it's early doors and all the rest of it, but I would think that they would have liked to have maybe come out of the blocks a bit harder than what they have. So there's a few things to think about there for Hardwick. But I mean, it was a good game. They played well. Sydney just too good, I think, in the end.
Yep, far too good.
Another slightly surprising result, Hawthorn v the Bulldogs. I expected this one to be closer, and I expected the Bulldogs to get up, but Hawthorn in the end comfortably, 40 points. 15-14, 104 to 8-16, 64 for the Hawks. Ginnivan playing a roll off half-back at the moment and sneaking forward occasionally. Played really well, 28. John Newcomb, 28. Jarman Impey, I would say possibly the best half-back in the competition at the moment on form. Macca, 26. For the Bulldogs, Bonampelli, 26. Sanders, 25. Matthew Kedney, 22. Goal scorers, Mitch Lewis kicked 3. Couple of clutch marks. Jack Gunston, 3. Dylan Moore, 2. For Bulldogs, the unicorn. Still not seeing it. 2 goals, played it right. Fraser 1 and Cooper Hines 1. They didn't get much out of Norton. Darcy was relatively well held. They didn't get a lot out of their midfield, and that was the end of that.
Well, I actually went for Hawthorn, Peter, because the absence of English was absolutely huge because the Hawks have two very good ruckmen in Reeves and Meek and Reeves in that order. And Sydney had nobody. I mean, Joe, nobody in ruck virtually. And it was an absolute domination, 64 hit-outs to 17. And Newcomb, he had a feast on it. And as you say, they had players all around the ground that were playing well. But on top of that, when they went up forward, the Grandpa Gunston still getting the ball, Lewis, Moore, they were all benefited from it. Hawks actually dominated the stoppage clearances 34 to 16. And that's what's taking away the Dogs' main weapon. And they would be hoping English is back this week because without it, I think that they are very, very, very vulnerable.
Interesting take because up until this week they've been early flag favourites for what it's worth. I thought Hawthorn played to the maximum of their. I don't think you'd see Hawthorn play much better than that, to be honest with you.
No, they played very, very, very well. Really, very well. You know, the two blokes they got from Port Adelaide played well. MP and Amon. Port would love to have them back.
Well, yeah, got you. And didn't they sell that farm at the time? Hawthorn have an unlikely forward duo that's firing at the moment, Lewis and Gunston. Gunston, he gets written off as the old man, but he's still moving great and like Tech Walker-like. And teams are going to have to start actually coming up with a plan because too often I see him just in straight one-on-one contests, and he's such a good reader of the play, can get on a lead early, and he never seems to have his leads cut off. No one sits in the hole in front of him, and people are going to have to start putting work into him soon, I reckon.
He's got smarts. He's got real footy smarts. He really is. He just knows when to lead, he knows when to go. He's really got the smarts.
All right, the next one, Geelong, comfortable in the end by 46 points against West Coast, but I didn't think the Eagles were a disgrace. 17-20, Geelong 122 to West Coast 11-10-76. Bailey Smith had 34, Holmes had 34, Atkins 30. For the Coasters, McCarthy had 28, Duggan 22, Tim Kelly 22, Harley Reid, quietish, the kid. Lot expected of him at the moment, I think. Goal scorers, O'Connell 3, Cameron 3, and Close 2 for Geelong. And for West Coast, Shanahan 4, Harley Reid kicked 1, and Willem Dersma kicked 1. They sat on Waterman a bit, so he didn't have a huge say on proceedings, and he's been kicking a few snags for him. So wasn't the worst result for West Coast. I thought they sort of hung in there, all right.
Yeah, I think it's for them. It's a respectable margin, I think, given where the two sides are at this stage of their development. I thought the Eagles were fairly brave, actually. I mean, Geelong obviously too good. Bailey Smith, he was running around like a jail escapee on the run everywhere. He just couldn't stop him. And he was backed by Bruner, whose finger has magically improved, and he's playing very, very well.
We don't have to say that every week, Macca.
It's the last time, I think. And Holmes, I thought, I love Holmes as a footballer. You can play him half back, you can play him on the ball, and he'll just play you good football wherever he plays. And I think, in fact, you mentioned Harley Reid. I thought he played a reasonably good game. And McCarthy and Dersma, that young Dersma, he's the best of the four Dersmas by a long way. He's going to be a very, very good footballer.
All right, the next one, Greater Western Sydney versus Richmond. GWS doing what they needed to do, getting up by just under 10 goals. 20 goals, 11-131 to Richmond, 11-9-75. For the Giants, we had Callaghan 37, Ash with 35, Whitfield with 31. For Richmond, Hopper had 26, Taranto 25, and Short 23. And if you say again that if Richmond rely on their old midfield, they're going nowhere, I'll cut you off. GWS, Cadman kicked 4, Daniels kicked 3, Angwin 2, and for Richmond, Lafau kicked 4, Fawcett turned on the tap for 3, and Taranto kicked 1.
Yeah, he's a
Say
local
something
lad,
original,
young Fort.
Macca.
Well, like that about Forsyth, he's a local lad.
Yeah.
And his third game for the Tigers, he got 3 goals. He looked a very likely type. The Giants overall too good for Richmond, and Callahan, Oliver on the ball, Asher Laverty down back, Cadman and Daniels up forward. Taranto and Layla were probably the best for Richmond, and I've mentioned young Forsyth, and that's it.
Very good. And the second best result for the weekend, St Kilda doing the job on Port, 12 goals, 981 to 9 goals, 1367. St Kilda, Nasai had 28, Garcia had 26, Windhager had 24. Port, Butters had 31 and a $1,500 fine that we'll talk about later. Wines had 26 and Horn Francis 26. Goal scorers, Nasai had 2, the Pooh had 2, and Mitch Owens had 2. For the Saints and for Port, Horn Francis had 2, George Artis 2, and Corey Durden 2. I'll tell you what, haven't seen a team get absolutely bent over and reamed by the umpires as much as Port did on Sunday night, Mac.
It was a disgrace, absolutely. It is a disgrace. And, if the AFL was serious, they'd investigate it, but they won't. I mean, the Saints absolutely dominated the first half, 8-8, 4-5. And as you say, they had plenty of help. I thought, after half time, I thought it was a huge fight back by Port Adelaide, which was led by Butters. It was almost a one-man fight back. He was bloody outstanding. I reckon it's one of the best individual efforts I've seen from a guy trying to get his team up. He was outstanding. And Port actually got quite close in the end, but then there was that incident, which we'll talk about yes, in the chat I see, I must mention, Horn Francis, he didn't start off too well, but he sort of seemed to get interested in playing the game, kicked a goal, and after that he seemed to wake up, and I thought he played very, very well after that. And it's good to see him do that because he's got the ability. He just has to give it. I felt very sorry about that incident about, firstly, there was no free kick there, and then there was that 50, which we'll talk about later, and that actually killed the comeback. Port Adelaide were coming back very strongly at that stage, but yeah. Butters is the story of the game in many, many ways, but even just in a football sense, I really thought he was outstanding.
All right, turning to the ladder, and everyone's played 5 games now, isn't that good? So we can actually talk about the ladder with some sort of meaning. We have 4 teams on 4 wins. Sydney, Fremantle, Hawthorn and the Bulldogs on 4 wins. Gold Coast, Brisbane, North and Geelong, along with Melbourne on 3 wins. Port, Adelaide, Giants, Collingwood, St Kilda and West Coast on 2 wins. Carlton on 1 win, along with Essendon. Richmond bringing up the rear. Still a few rounds before the ladder really starts becoming overly meaningful, but there's a couple of teams that be happy with where they're at the moment. North obviously sitting in 7th, Macca, and Melbourne, despite their loss, still hanging on to a wild card spot. Port probably overrepresented there, given their relatively soft start to the season. Their 2 losses have been fairly predictable, and the Crows just starting to get going, maybe.
I think you're right. We've had a slow start to the season, and when you look back at the first 3 games we played against the very fine margins and against top teams, I think we're just starting to get going. But we still haven't got our full team back together. There's little bits and pieces missing here and there, and that all makes a difference. I think as long as we can stop getting injuries and get these key players back, I think we should have a fairly good second half. Well, not second half, the last 3 quarters of the season. I think we've played a lot of hard teams, and I think we've got some good easy games coming up.
Well, let's talk about Thursday night quickly. Adelaide 17-9-1-1-1 to Carlton 12-5-77. For the Crows, Berry had 29, Dawson 26 and Richelli 26. For the Carlton, Cripps 29, Walsh 29 and Florent 25. Goal scorers for Adelaide, Rash had a lovely 4. Benny Keys bobbed up with 3. Ranks had 2. For Carlton, Ainsworth 2. McGovern 2. And Florent 1. Obviously, myself and Big Man talked about this on Sunday night, Mac, but I'd be interested in your thoughts about whether it told us anything or whether it was just a good gritty win and you move on with life.
The latter is probably the case, but there was a very another slow start by Adelaide, which saw Carlton lead by 7 points at quarter time, and actually would have been worse if it hadn't been Richelli. I mean, Richelli got 3 of his goals just before quarter time. I think he did another one in the second quarter, which sort of gave us the lead. But no, I didn't like our first quarter very much at all, really. I thought we flattered them by the way we played. I think after we got the lead and we got a bit of a 3-4 goal up, I just never thought we were going to lose after that. Cripps and Walsh had an outstanding first quarter, and then brilliant piece of coaching saw Cripps stranded on the bench at the start of the second quarter, and that's when it all went. Started to go rotten for it. Yeah, that masterly piece of coaching, because that's when it all started to go bad for Carlton. So look, the thing I took out of it was that Richelli is in great form, and he would have been BOG. Also, it was nice to see Rankin look like Rankin and get some of that, a little bit of arrogance and a little bit of flair about him again. Ben Keys, who apparently got blistered by the coach because he hadn't been in good form, he got 3 goals, and I thought he played a much better game. So overall, I'd say, okay, really pissed down right after half time, and then we got in front, and then Carlton never really looked like a threat after that. And I must mention Miller too. I just thought he's been in outstanding form all year, and I tell you what, brilliant form actually. It's great to see him playing like that. And I must mention Berry, who I have flagged in the past at times. I thought possibly the best game he's ever played for the club. I really thought that.
No.
I thought he was outstanding in the conditions.
He got he was the reason why Carlton were winning every centre bounce in the first quarter.
Early, but I thought he had a very good comeback by him, though.
Yeah, but certainly not his best game for the club. Like, his first quarter was shocking.
But he had 29 disposals, which is a
but that doesn't, like, it's a wet game. Everyone was having high numbers. Like, his first quarter was shit. And I'm a Berry fan, and you know that. We talked about this a bit on Sunday night. His first quarter, he was flat-footed, he was ball-watching, and he wasn't proactive at all on Cripps and Walsh. Absolutely destroyed Berry and Peatling, and I think they got let off the hook a bit by Voss. If I was the coach, I would have been grinding that advantage in as far as I could take it.
No, fair comment about the first quarter, but I thought very good comeback by him anyhow. And Peatling was a funny one because I didn't think he had a great game, but he had a great third quarter.
He did. Yeah. I mean, they straightened up after quarter time, and obviously after half time it pissed down, and you know what it's like. It's a matter of a bit of a slog, and we were a couple of rotations down at that point, so a lot of people were bagging Nicks for bottling it up, but for once in my life I actually thought it was the right thing to do, to try and just keep it in tight, because like I said, we were down 2 rotations, and we could have been exposed late if we'd have tried to keep running and gunning.
Totally agree with that. Must mention Nan Curvis too. I thought he played very well playing.
Didn't do himself any harm, did he, Matt?
No, I think. I think you and I have always thought he is an AFL footballer. More than the club actually thinks that. And every time he gets a chance, he does okay. So no, I liked his game. I thought Neil Bullen, showed great leadership at times, and he kicked a couple of goals, and he was hard at the ball, hard tackling. I thought he had a very good game. But Soligo, a bit worried about him. I know they said he rolled his ankle, but he hasn't been in the greatest of form, Soligo, and I think he's starting to become a little bit vulnerable.
Well, I mean, again, Big Man and I talked about this on Sunday night. It's hard to understand. What role he's playing, because he's not getting any midfield rotations at the moment. Macca is playing permanent forward, and to me, we've got other blokes that can play that, and I wonder whether Solly would be better off having a bit of a block of games in the twos and maybe a rest and a bit of a mini pre-season.
I totally agree with you, 100%, because at the moment he's just not Soligo, who was so good last year. And I think he's been carrying a little bit of that injury. And I think even if he missed a week and then, as you said, played 2 or 3 in the twos and got his form right up and then bring him back in again.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it's a couple of worries. Obviously, what did you think about playing Hinge and him going down with a hamstring predictably in about 10 minutes?
I thought it was ludicrous. He shouldn't have been chosen in the first place.
No.
Couldn't see why he was chosen. And as you said, he's coming in off a hammy on, it's going to be wet, sloggy weather. So not smart to select him. And the inevitable happened. He redid his hammy. So, I mean, it's just, that wasn't too smart at all. I must mention that
crazy, mate.
it was delightful not to have O'Brien out there. And I think, Finbar Maley, I think he doesn't get the ball a lot, but he's very good as a role player. And I just think I'd rather have him in the side before O'Brien any and every day of the week.
Oh, either him or Finbar. I mean, Riley's so far down the list as far as I'm concerned, but we know what they're like.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, Maley. I'd rather have Finbar Maley than him. Because all that McAndrew really needs is a cut out every quarter, just to give himself a breather and recover. And Finbar can do that, and other players can do it around the ground as well. So the other thing too is we've got potential. We may have players back this week. There's a couple there that had concussions, and I think Butts in particular is the one I'm thinking of, and.
We'll talk about that in our preview, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Best and fairest votes, obviously, in the Discord chat. If you are channel, if you are part of our Discord community, you can put in your 3, 2, 1s every week, and we consolidate those for the Crowcast Best and Fairest. Good to see a fair few people voting again this week. Rochelle, perfect score, 3 votes. Wayne Miller came in second, Jordan Dawson third, Sam Berry fourth, Lachlan McAndrew fifth. Probably a couple of it's a little stiff. I thought Rank's probably a little stiff, and also Tex I think had a half decent game as well. So there's a couple more there that could have got a sniff, but that's our top 5, Mac.
I thought they were pretty good top 5 actually. Pretty good top 5.
So year to date, hurry up and... Oh no, that's the wrong one, Rob. What are you doing? Year to date, we have now Rochelle on 6 votes, or 6.08, has now overtaken Wayne Miller, 5.98. Josh Worrell in third, 3.85. I reckon he's carrying something too, Mac. Geordie Butts 2.57, Sam Berry 2.48, Lockie McAndrew 2.4, James Peatling 1.5, Geordie Dawson 1.29. So I reckon that's fairly representative of how things have been going.
No argument there.
Yeah. Thanks.
No, I think the names you called out there, they are the ones that have done the best, mate.
Oh, Macca, you're funny sometimes.
Sorry to agree with you, mate.
No, it's funny. Yeah, it's fine. All right, that brings us to the Hall of Flame, Macca. Hall of Flame. And you haven't given me a heads up, so I don't have any pictures. But let's go. Give me your Hall of Flame. I can predict it.
Well, umpire foot.
Right.
Do you want expansion on that, or just...
Mate, it's a talk show.
Well, the reason I nominate umpire foot...
My goodness.
Is because the free kick that he gave away in the first place was not there. There was no free kick there at all. It was just... you could be excused. I'm not saying he did, but you could be excused for thinking that he did that to help the opposition. And then he's actually come roaring back at 100 mile an hour and just said, "You're reported," with no comment why. and then just ran away again. And I think I've never seen anything as lousy and as cowardly as that, because he wouldn't talk to him after the game. Apparently he's not allowed to, but if you report somebody, you should tell them what they're being reported for, not just saying like an arrogant turd that you think you're reported and then run away. I just thought that was horrible. First of all, and I looked at the two players alongside, there was the player that got reported and to Ollie Wines. Butters was absolutely staggered. He didn't know what was going on. He looked at Ollie Wines as if to say, "Did you say something?" And Ollie Wines looked at Butters as if to say, "Did you say something?" And I know that the tribunal have believed the umpire's word. I don't. I do not believe it, and I'm allowed to have that opinion because what the tribunal have done is only an opinion. It has to be an opinion because they've got apparently no sound of it. I think it was disgusting. I mean, it just showed what umpire foot's really made of. I think he's made up his own story. That's my opinion, just my opinion. Everybody's got their own opinion on it, but I do not believe Butters would say what he has claimed to have said. I do not believe it for one moment. I don't believe any footballer on the ground would say that. I don't believe it. I think he's made it up. That he said that Butters accused him of something about he'll get paid out for giving that free, as if he was getting bribed to do it. That's what he was implying that Butters was saying, and I don't believe for one moment that's what he meant. You do, and surely you don't believe that either. And I don't think anybody can possibly believe it. And for the tribunal to find it guilty, that means they're saying that they believe that stupid story that was presented as the umpire's version of it, they believe that to be correct, and that if I look at the vision of the game, you can see that he wouldn't have said something like that. Just by the mystery on the two Port players' faces, they could not work it out why they got reported. He didn't have the decency to say why either. So, no, I reckon I'd burn him, and they'll pull him out and I'll burn him again.
Well, I think you've a bit light on detail, so let's fill in some of the blanks for people that aren't across it. Umpire Foot accused Butters of saying, "How much are they paying you?"
That's right.
And Butters said that he said some words to the effect of, "How did he pay that?" or "Why did he pay that?" or something.
Why did
How
you?
can
What?
you pay
Yeah,
that?
what?
How can you pay that, or something or other?
Well, what?
Now
what,
the
what
issue,
was it for?
the issue. There's a couple of issues for mine. The first issue, that Foot obviously got triggered because he is in an interesting position that, frankly, Macca, I don't understand how the AFL can let this happen, of being a racing pundit working for Sportsbet.
Correct.
So there's already, he's obviously sensitive about it, because that's the reason why he's reacted to Butters the way he has, because he thought Butters was making an insinuation regarding his employment. Now, that's not Zach's fault, and Zach, by all reports, wasn't even aware that Foot worked for Sportsbet, let alone anything else. So there's already a sensitivity there by the umpire. If you have a look at the image that I've got on screen, the umpire looks like Butters has just told him he's been shagging his missus. That's how shocked he looks. But then there's a couple of things around process after this, Macca, and there's a couple of things that disturb me. One is that, by all reports, and shades of the JFK files, there's no microphone audio.
I can't understand that. I don't understand that.
No microphone audio whatsoever. And second of all, it goes to the tribunal. Now, it ends up being a he said situation. And I don't know how the tribunal can justify, and I should actually read the article here just to see whether it gives us any more information. But on the surface, I don't see how the AFL or the tribunal can make a judgment that one gentleman is honest and the other one isn't.
Correct. Absolutely correct, mate. I mean, as at the time that I came here on this podcast, we still hadn't had an explanation from that tribunal of why they came to that decision, which I think is very poor. They normally they release their verdict and the reason why they came to that conclusion straight away, but they haven't released it yet.
So here's the thing, right?
They're going to release it tomorrow.
Umpire Foote and Butters were both adamant with their version of events during the hearing, while Butters' teammate Ollie Wines and Port Adelaide General Manager of Football Ben Rutten also gave evidence in support of Butters. So you've got a situation where the umpire doesn't have any witnesses supporting him, and the footballer has got 2 witnesses supporting him.
Yes, that's correct.
How can the tribunal possibly find in favour of the umpire under those circumstances?
If I was on the tribunal and hearing exactly what you just said, I would have been forced to say that it's not, as you know, we don't know whether it was what the umpire, whether it's what Butters said, or whether it's what the umpire said, or whether the Butters said something that not as bad, and the umpire has misheard it over the noise of the game. And I would say that we cannot come to a conclusion, and we're not actually siding with either party, and just dismissed it. Because that's really the truth of the matter. Because the tribunal could not possibly know the truth of it, could they? They just couldn't.
Well, here's my thoughts on the matter, Macca. The AFL, once again, by paying lip service to the integrity of their umpires and their competition, had absolutely no choice but to stand by their umpire, and I'll tell you why. Because if they didn't stand by their umpire, then essentially what they're doing is calling the integrity of that umpire into question, which in and of itself is problematic. But then when you add the insane situation where they've allowed him to work for a betting agency, they cannot possibly land themselves in a situation where that umpire's integrity is called into question. And so as a consequence, they had no choice to find in favour of that umpire, despite there being no evidence. And there's nothing wrong with the AFL tribunal saying the evidence is inconclusive, so play on.
That's what they should have said. That's exactly what they should have said, Fiend. Nobody is calling anybody a liar in that situation. It's just nobody can actually prove what was actually said. So, and it's easy when there's a game, there's a lot of players around that make a lot of noise. It's easy to mishear things. So, if I was on the tribunal, I would have said exactly just what you said. You're not finding in favour of anybody because it's inconclusive. So, and we're not saying that Foote is wrong. We're not saying that Butters is wrong. We just don't know because it's a situation where it isn't like a conversation of 2 people alone in a room where you can hear quite clearly what somebody says. It's again in a thing where there's bodies flying around and noises being made, and you can easily mishear things. And I think the AFL have made a rod for their own back by actually finding him guilty, because I think Butters is thinking of appealing. If he appeals and it went to a court, the court would just dismiss it straight away. Just say
100%. I hope Port. I know it's only a $1,500 fine, but it goes a long way towards Butters' integrity. And as I said, I think the AFL were caught in a situation where they had no choice but to support the umpire, because to do anything else would be to undermine everything with regards to their decisions around this umpire. Because how can you allow an umpire to work for a betting agency and then in the same breath say, oh yeah, but we think he's not telling the truth? It's an absolute, as PJ said, absolute conflict of interest, and I hope Port go as hard as they can on behalf of Zach Butters, because it's an absolute sham as far as I'm concerned, an absolute sham.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most disgraceful things in terms of integrity I've seen for a long time by the AFL. I mean, they are very loose on integrity, and they've actually been extremely loose on integrity in this particular case. And so they've done themselves no favours. And as we've both said, if they Port take this to court, it just get thrown out straight away, because it's a he said, other bloke said this, other bloke said that. Nobody can prove either.
Yeah.
There's no case. There is no case.
No, I'm with you, mate. It was an absolute shocker as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not a Port fan by any stretch, but and Zach Butters can be an absolute pain in the arse at times. But on this one, he's 100% accurate as far as I'm concerned. 100% accurate, and he should take it as far as he can take it.
Well, I don't see Butters as that kind of bloke anyhow.
Well, I mean, I dispute that no player would ever say that. I mean, come on, mate. Of course they would, but I don't think Butters did. And the reaction of both Butters and Wines backs that up.
Well, yeah. Well, to me, it just was I just thought, it was that free kick that got paid. If I was playing, I could not have kept my mouth shut. I would have had to say, "What the hell was that for?" or something like that.
That's basically what he did say. It's what the umpire thought he said that was the problem. Anyway, we've probably done that one to death. Thanks for your Hall of Flame.
Yep.
My Hall of Flame, Macca, is one Damien Barrett. And I hate saying Crowcast and Damien Barrett in the same sentence, but when a Victorian imbecile can say that the showdown is such a good draw that we should have it at the MCG, then you just know that. And I've heard people say this before, and I've always thought he's just stirring the pot, but he was dead set serious. Dead set serious.
I heard it, Pete, and he was serious. And I thought, well, I didn't know what to say. I thought, I'm like you. A lot of dribble comes out of his mouth. Occasionally something good, but mainly dribble. And I think that one was really off the planet, wasn't it?
Yeah, Vardy, I think you misspelt wanker in your comment. You spelt it thinker. It starts with a W.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, he's serious. He's said it often enough now that you have to take him serious. And to say it on Gather Round weekend, just to take a bit of the shine off it. But to make a suggestion that there's any case to be made for the showdown being played anywhere other than the home state of the two sides just shows a complete lack of understanding of what drives football culture, what drives football rivalries, and he's turning it from a rivalry situation into an exhibition for the benefit of the Victorian punter. And PJ, you say he's not serious. I'm sorry, mate. He said it often enough now. He's serious. He honestly thinks that. I'm sure he doesn't think it'd ever happen. But I think he's serious that he thinks it should happen. And it just shows the entitlement of Victorians that, or the Victorian football media, I should say. I shouldn't lump all Victorians into that. But certainly the Victorian football media, that they think, oh yeah, here's another good game, let's bring it to the quote-unquote home of football. Well, fuck off. Adelaide Oval's the home of South Australian football, and the best rivalry in Australian sport belongs to two local teams, and it'll be played here until they stop playing football.
Yeah, I heard him say that, Pete. And when he first started talking, I thought he was going to say something good because if I remember rightly, I think he said that he's praising the showdown and what a good game it is, and it should be played on a Friday night. That's why I thought he was going to stop, but he didn't stop there. He said at the MCG. I went from thinking that was a great idea to a bloody lunatic talking in the matter of about 3 words. So yeah, it was a crazy idea.
And PJ in the chat is adamant that he's not. I've heard him say it at other points apart from just around gather round. But even if he isn't serious PJ, then he still gets the Hall of Fame for being unoriginal because he keeps saying it. So either way, he's a dickhead.
Yeah.
Very good. Worthy winners. Now, also a very warm mention to Rowan Connolly, who doesn't do much of anything anymore. Macca, does he, Rowan Connolly?
No, he dropped off the seat a little.
Yeah, he's kind of irrelevant, you would say.
Yeah, yeah.
He thinks he's relevant on Twitter, though, and he came out during the week and said, I don't mind the idea of gather round per se. No, I haven't attended one yet. Imagine being a football commentator and not having attended a gather round yet. But is it just me, or is it starting to feel more and more just like a glorified marketing opportunity for a variety of vested interests and snouts in the trough and stuff all about the actual game?
I did read that, actually. I saw that, and I thought, I haven't heard much from you lately, and after reading that, that's a good thing that I haven't heard much from you lately, because that was just well, first of all, I don't know how he can comment when he's never been to one. That first of all, he just ruled himself out straight away, because then after that, all his comments are irrelevant, and then he goes on to be quite silly. But yeah, no, there's a reason why he's not in the mainstream anymore, and that's one of them. He just talks rubbish.
Well, the icing on the cake was that I wrote back and said, good old Roko, hates gather round, nothing on the corporate AFL grand final or the contrived opening round, though. Stay relevant, bro. And he called me a dickhead and blocked me.
At least you know that you got to him, mate.
Imagine being so sensitive that one bloke makes one comment on Twitter and you call him a dickhead, even though you're supposedly a writer. You haven't got the imagination to use any other word apart from dickhead, and then you block him. What a fucking idiot. I went to have a listen to his podcast, but that's been cancelled as well, so he's even less fucking relevant now. The dumb prick nearly said a different word then.
I know, but yes, it was just one letter, a few letters back.
Yeah, so good on you, Roko, but you don't get your picture up on this popular podcast. You're not good enough for that. But yeah, that was a worthy mention. All right, Mac, what else is going on? Some Crows news. Let me just get rid of bloody Damo's face before it makes me throw up. Crows news. Let's talk about the injuries that we currently have. Soligo rolled his ankle in the third, even though he played out the game. I don't think he actually played much time on ground after that, but if he did, he didn't do a lot. So we've got Geordie Butts coming back from concussion protocols. We've got Luke Pedlar also. Now, has he got another week to go, Luke Pedlar?
No, I think it worked out right for him. Geordie Butts was 2 weeks because he only reported his about halfway through the week after the.
Well, it's always 2 weeks. It's always 2 weeks, but he didn't report his until the Monday, which is why it overlapped.
I think is it 10 days or 12 days?
I think it's 12 days.
12 days, yeah.
Yeah.
So which means that for Pedler, he only misses one game, but Butch gets two because I think it was a Wednesday or a Thursday when he started experiencing the symptoms of the concussion.
But yeah, so they can both be considered. Saligo with an ankle is a test. We've talked about him already. Darcy Fogarty is a TBC on the injury list, which is a little bit more than initially stated with regard to Darcy's back. They said 1 to 2 weeks. And now all of a sudden it's a TBC, Macca.
Which is a timeless, they don't really know.
To
be confirmed, it means, but...
Yeah, just like Neil Craig, just as far as the eye can see.
Yes.
Then we've got Dan Curtin, who, by all reports, is making really good progress on the track. He's out training and looking really good. He doesn't have a brace on. 2 to 3 weeks, according to the list. Calamar Chi with that nasty hamstring, also 2 to 3 weeks. Mitchy Hinge is 3 to 5 with that hamstring. I'd say it'll be closer to 5. It looked like it was pretty high. And I think, I don't know about you, but I thought in the short time that Hinge was on the ground, Macca, he probably reminded us of the value of having him off halfback, a little bit more dynamic.
Well, I think that's he's right spot at halfback, mate.
I think we've been missing him, Mac. Informed Mitch Hinge is best 23 in my opinion.
Yeah, last year he was very, very good. He had a good year last year, and he hasn't been quite as good this year before his injury. But then again, he's never seemed to be 100% fit this year compared to what he should be. And
no. Well, he had back problems in the pre-season, and now here we are with a hamstring.
Yeah, but no, look, he's a handy player, but I think I think we can cover him. We've got good cover for him.
I'm just saying that a fit Mitch Hinge he showed his value off halfback.
Oh no, of course, but the facts are he won't be around. I think you're right. Like that looked to me like maybe a 3 to 5, which is quite a while out. Then you've got to get fit again. So I don't think we'll see him for at least about 6 weeks.
Yeah, and Mark Keane obviously a fair few, probably 2 months still from returning with that leg. So that's the injury report. Now, Mac, there was another little happy. Let's see if I can get this up on the screen. Actually, happy little event that occurred during the week down at the Crows, and that's the Crows' second generation academy. See that little article on the Crows website today?
No, I didn't.
So the second academy is obviously the father sons, the potential father sons. So the sons of players that are been and gone for the Crows, and we had a nice little mix down during the week. And this is something that the club actually does well. They really get around the father sons and not even the father sons, just any kid whose mother or father has played footy for the Crows. And we had Nick and Joe Rasciuto, Bernie and Jack Rutten, Harry Thompson, Tyson Bickley, Jimmy Burton, all there during the week, and they'll be there again soaking up a bit of match day for the St Kilda game. So a good initiative by the club. Some of those lads look pretty likely, and I just thought it was nice just to raise that as the kids actually, or the club actually getting around the kids, and also as a consequence getting around past players, which I don't know whether we've always been the best at, Macca.
No, we haven't. But I think this, in last year to some degree, and this year definitely, I think we're doing everything right at the moment. I can't think of anything we've done particularly bad, but I can think of a lot of things we've done good this year. So it's I think the people we've got running the show at the moment are pretty good.
Well, to me, this is the sort of thing that a football club does. And I
Yeah.
don't know whether under the previous regime, Macca, whether this would have been front and square. We're too
No, it
busy
wouldn't have been.
worrying about um, you know, baseball teams and bloody esports teams and all that sort of stuff. But this is a real get back to your foundations kind of initiative. Obviously, we've already had a couple come through. Tyler Welsh and Max Michaelani were part of the second generation academy as well. It's been going for a few years now, so I just think it's fantastic to see those lads around the club. It allows those lads to make a connection between what they saw their parents do and where they did it and what the club's all about. And I just think there's no negatives about that. It's all positive.
Another big positive theme was after the game, that young lad that is a Crow supporter, that he's only about 10 years old at most, and he suffers from a very rare disease where he ages about somewhere between 7
Yes.
and 10 times faster than a normal person does. And
Yes.
Enzo, that's it. And the players, they're bringing me to tears when I think about it. Enzo, they had him in singing the victory song with them after the game, and I just thought that's a bloody great thing to do. It really is.
Yeah. One thing the club has always done, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Macca, is with the Crows Foundation and disadvantaged kids, and it's something that I know firsthand myself, that the players that get around, the kids in the children's hospitals and the disadvantaged, and the Crows Foundation does a great job. And it was great to see Enzo get around it, singing the song after the game, and the boys getting around him, and just to give someone who's got obviously some very difficult circumstances to live with day by day, to be able to bring him some joy within a club that he loves. It was just great to see. You're right. So, the footy club is doing footy club things, and as I said, in many respects, I don't know whether we've always been that good. I think the foundation has always been that good, but I think as a club, in general, we've tended to be a little corporate at times, but it feels like we're getting back to basics of being a good football club, and there's two examples of it right there.
Yeah, no, it to me, I think as I said, they've been a very, very good this year. They've done, in my opinion, they've done just about everything right, and that was just an icing on the cake. I just that was incredibly good.
Now, just before we move on, the other bit of AFL news was Lance Collard getting absolutely smacked with a suspension as a consequence of his homophobic slur situation. I think it wasn't it? Homophobic slur. What was it? 9 weeks, I think they gave him.
Yeah, allegedly the same slur that Rankin used, but he claims he said maggot instead of the other word. So they didn't believe him. He got 9 weeks.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because here's another. I'm not aware of the evidence around this one, so I shouldn't probably say a hell of a lot. But again, you've got this situation of, was it actually heard by enough people to be ratified? But as Firewalker said, second offence probably didn't help him. He's got some challenges himself, Lance, but that's a pretty heavy one. 9 matches, two of those matches suspended.
Yeah, well, he's as I said, it's his second offence, and
BJ saying that no one heard it apart from the person that it was directed to.
Well, it's a little bit of he said, I said, he said, but the probability he's probably dead, but it's a very hefty penalty. It's a very hefty.
I just think I don't want to get into a big argument about this. It's very divisive, but
It is.
Barry Hall got less for putting someone in hospital.
I know. I struggle with the concept of a word. I really do.
No. Let's just
I'm not
talk about it. Let's not go down that road again.
No, I'm not going down that road again. What I'm saying is the extent of the penalty for a word.
Well, I think, irrespective, I just wonder whether there are better ways of dealing with it. It seems like a fairly unimaginative solution. So what you're doing, you're basically ending the career of a person, and as a consequence of something that he said. I don't want to get into a debate about whether that has a more far-reaching ramification than the effect of the word being said to the person. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a penalty, not at all, but I'm just saying, can we, surely there's got to be a way that leads to better outcomes for both parties. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wondered. He's suggesting in the chat that you don't get suspended for games, but you have to do a rehab to. And by rehab, I'm sure what he means is go through an education program that.
Well, he's been through one already.
Yeah, but then obviously he's a slow learner.
I know. So you could argue that that's not effective.
Well, it should be in general though, Bean. And must.
Well, why should it be? Rehab doesn't work.
You don't reckon?
No. Well, no. What I'm saying is rehab doesn't work for everybody. Different things resonate with different people.
Well, somebody's saying in the chat there was a good study on one of these education programs that made no difference, and that's supporting what you're saying. But and look, I always get mixed feelings on it because I see some brutal blows and they get much less, and then you see a word, and I know that you shouldn't be saying the word and all the rest of it, but if you were saying it to put, no, I'm not going to. I don't really want to comment on the topic.
I guess what I'm saying, Macca, is that we've got a situation where, and without casting aspersions on Collard, there's a fair bit of evidence to suggest that football is probably going to be his biggest opportunity at having a decent income and a decent lifestyle, a decent life.
Yeah.
He's got some personal challenges, comes from a challenging background, all that sort of stuff. Now, none of that excuses. Let's assume that he did say what he said, just for the sake of the conversation. None of that excuses, what he said. And rightly or wrongly, it's quite obviously clear that the AFL have a zero tolerance policy, and that's fair enough. That's where they sit on it, whether you agree on it or disagree. I guess my discussion point here is that they are now basically sending a kid to the scrap heap. He will likely be resentful as a consequence. So the opportunity to have a win-win outcome, and I've always been taught to try to seek win-win outcomes in conflict situations. We've now lost an opportunity to have a win-win outcome, and in actual fact, we've ended up with a lose-lose outcome. Because Collard, is going to have some very challenging times now, and the person who was the subject of the slur doesn't get any sort of, like, it's cold comfort to him. It doesn't help him in any way either. So I just feel like there are better ways to be able to deal with this. The racism situation is similar, I think, where there are better ways of dealing with it than just slapping a fine or slapping a suspension. Jad asking if we saw what Liam Ryan posted. No, I didn't see it. That's just my thoughts. I feel like it's an opportunity lost to move the game forward in this space, Macca. And that's irrespective of whether you agree with the penalties or, that's not the point. The point is the penalties are the misdemeanors in place. The penalties are like the AFL's position is very clear. What I'm saying is, in view of those circumstances, surely there's an opportunity for better outcomes overall.
Yeah. I don't know. They haven't got a lot of openings to the AFL, I don't think. I mean, the guy has made it very clear they don't want these words said, and they because certain people find it hurtful. That's absolutely clear. But how you deal with it, because I think you're right about the fact, the guy himself, he's obviously, if it is his second time, he obviously didn't learn from the first time. So he didn't learn from whatever penalty he got last time, and I think there's no reason why he wouldn't say it a third time, really.
Well, he's going to say it forever and a day now outside of the AFL. Like, if he gets delisted by St Kilda, which there's a high likelihood he would, then he's going to go back into society a bitter person as a consequence of this. And, that's not to say that he's got the right to be, but again, what I'm saying is that the AFL aren't spitting out people that are better in society than what they were when they came in. And I think that's where the opportunity sits.
Well, I agree with you about your comment that they're not coming out any better than when they went in, but how you actually deal with this and make it meaningful, I don't really know. At the moment, it's punishing. There's, with suspension, that's a punishment. There's no doubt about that. But does it cure the bloke? No, it certainly won't cure him. I think in the sense of doing it that way, you're going to make him, as you said, quite bitter. But look, humans are very complicated creatures. I don't really know what really is the correct answer.
Well, we've got players that have committed assault that still play the game. We've got one of the greatest players of all time was a dirty mongrel that continually belted people behind play. Considered one of the best players to have ever played, and is in the AFL Hall of Fame, etc., etc. A lot of physical assaults have been tolerated by the AFL, and yet the people that have committed those assaults have gone on to have post playing careers within the AFL infrastructure, either in the media or with the AFL themselves. So, whereas you've got this situation where, we've already seen Isaac Rankin completely lose love for the game. We've seen now this situation where it's quite possible that Collard, as I mentioned, is going to be spat out of the system, a bitter and twisted person, as a consequence of what he had to go through. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be punished, Macca, by any stretch. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that there's better ways of dealing with this, and I don't think the AFL have really done themselves any favours, or done the cause any favours, I think is probably correct. If they're trying to seek better outcomes for LGBTQ community, then I don't know whether they're actually achieving that.
Well, they're not. They're definitely not. The answer is they're not.
So, anyway, we've probably done that one to death. Just my thoughts on the matter. Happy for people to disagree.
Oh, it is such a complex subject,
Very
and
complex.
and that's why everybody's going to have different opinions on it. Some of them, they'll all think they're right, and that's why I'm abstaining from my opinion because when I played football, I got called everything underneath the sun, and I never got
Yeah,
offended
but
by
you
any of them.
deserved it, mate.
I probably did with all the things I did, but you could call me anything. I would have actually been flattered by the fact I got under your skin long enough to for you to call me names.
Well, that used to be the thing, isn't it? You used to get taught that as soon as a bloke starts calling you stuff, his mind's not on the game and you've won the battle.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
But this is a slightly different thing. This isn't calling you a
different
wanker.
world.
This is a thing. No, it's not a different world. It's like not being called a wanker. You're being called something that in modern society isn't successful. So we can't go down that road again, Macca, because we've already come to the conclusion. Already come to the conclusion that that's not the point.
I do understand that. Yeah.
All right. Has it flown under everyone's radar that the Tassie Devils are undefeated in the VFL this season?
Well, I was aware of that. Just personally, and I know this might not necessarily be a popular opinion, but I am totally against Tasmania coming into the competition. But why would you have an 18-team competition and bring a team and make 19 so you're going to have bloody buys? Why would you do it?
Yeah, I don't know, mate.
And then what you're going to do, you're going to just the teams that are down the bottom of the ladder, when and Tasmania come in with all the advantages that new teams get, they're going to be destroyed. They're going to be down the bottom for years. And there's just too many teams as it is, and you don't need another one. And it'll be another situation where the AFL will prop up with funds. I read that the setting up the Suns, it's cost them $600 million. $600 million for them. GWS, $300 million. That's on top of the daily stuff that they pay. That's the setup cost. So you can rest assured they're going to have to pay out money. To me, I just don't think the quality of the game. I just don't think the integrity of the game. Just got to destroy the whole thing. It's just
very good article put out recently, and Paige, I think, in motion is referencing it in the chat there, with regards to the lack of numbers generated at grassroots level by GWS, and the fact that the GWS experiment in terms of growing the game in Western Sydney has been an absolute failure compared to the Gold Coast and Brisbane and Queensland in general, where AFL has got some very good grassroots representation, but obviously there's a lot of expats from the southern football states in Queensland that helps that along its way, whereas not many people move from Victoria to bloody Western Sydney. So
just on that one thing about Western Sydney, that particular article mentioned that there was only 48 under 14 male players playing AFL football in that particular area.
Yeah, registered for the junior comps. I'm not sure whether it was 48, but it was a very low number, like far lower than their budget and their expectations. It's just an abject failure, GWS, an abject failure. And look, I've slowly come to grips over the last few years to the fact that I liken the AFL to the way Formula One is run now. So you might not be into Formula One, but Formula One went from the pinnacle of motorsport to the pinnacle of entertainment, sports entertainment. Right? Yeah. It's run by an entertainment company or a media company, and the number one priority of that media company was to get more races on the calendar. And now they've brought in another team into the mix, even though year on year there's only usually 2 or 3 teams that are competitive. The AFL is much the same. We are supporting an entertainment business. We are not supporting. Thank you for whoever made me purple then. We are not supporting a sporting code. We are supporting an entertainment industry, and so, as is the case, they want saturation on TV. Attendances are important for appearances, but at the end of the day, the TV rights are what runs the show.
Yep.
And their chief strategy, obviously, is to get into where the biggest markets are, and the biggest markets, population-wise, are in Sydney and in Brisbane. You know, they're lucky in Brisbane that there's a large expat community that were previously AFL followers. So that's a soft sell. Sydney is obviously a harder sell. I would argue that Sydney Swans is even not particularly like that. They've got their dyed in the wool supporters, but they're very much fair weather. Sydney people are interesting. They don't attend the same way as Victorians and South Australians and Western Australians attend. That they go to be entertained. They go if they don't think they're going to get a good spectacle, they're not going to turn up. Whereas the Crows crowd will turn up to anything. Will turn up to a bloody, game of mini league sort of thing. So, back to your question about Tasmania, I don't think, I have a hard time opposing Tasmania being in the AFL simply because Tasmania is a football state, and I think Tasmania probably deserved to be in before the second Sydney side, the GWS side, and the fact that they were overlooked because obviously it's a small market meant that they had to wait their term and bide their time, and they've certainly had to come up with the goods to get in there. So I don't oppose Tasmania on that basis. What worries me is that we've got this weird contradiction where there are clubs that operate as clubs in a competition that is an entertainment product. So you've got clubs like Collingwood who have 100 and something years of tradition, and Carlton and Essendon and Richmond, and then you've got the Crows, obviously, with a massive following. You've got the West Coast Eagles with a massive following, and that's all due to their state football heritage and their legacies in state football. And what we're doing is we're giving all that, it's not IP, but we're giving all that, the AFL is leveraging all the benefits from our state football heritage to fund what is an entertainment proposition that benefits a few. And I just feel like there's a massive contradiction there, and I can feel like at some point something's going to be brewing, because how long is it before Collingwood are going to turn around and say, well, hang on a minute, you want us to contribute to, say, half a dozen clubs or 10 clubs that are essentially insolvent because of the equalisation fund. And yes, everyone's a winner if the AFL is successful, but you're now diluting it to a point where the money's starting to get a little bit thin, and you're leveraging our 150 years of tradition and all the work that we've done to build ourselves up to be a massive club in the Victorian market. And there are other clubs that could argue exactly the same, Richmond and Adelaide and West Coast and whatnot. Eventually those clubs surely are going to say, shove it, the value proposition's no longer there.
Well, I totally agree with what you're saying, Pete. I totally agree. And if they really thought that Tasmania should have a team, there's 2 teams. There's Hawthorn, there's North Melbourne that play there already. They could I don't think they necessarily have to change their name, but somehow incorporate Tasmania into one of those teams, so that the Tasmanian Hawks or something, or something like that, or to me, it just. I mean, that's how Sydney was created. That's how Brisbane was created, and they got to. To me, that still maintains 18 teams. It's an even competition. You haven't got this stupid bye situation that's going to come up, and you would also have a supporter base to go with it, which would actually help with all the problems that you just mentioned then. So, to me, whether they wouldn't like it or not, but I just think that if you really want to have Tasmania, that's how it should come in.
Yeah, I just don't think it's sustainable. And obviously 19 they're going to push to 20 because they want an even competition. So they'll push to 20. Yeah. So we'll end up either with a third team in one of the big markets, either we'll have a bloody far north Queensland team, or we'll have a Canberra team, or a Darwin team or something.
There was talk it might be a third Western Australian team.
Maybe a third Perth team, yeah. 3 teams in a market of a population of 2 and a bit million people is not huge, irrespective of how affluent that location is. And a similar situation. You've got the West Coast basically representing the Waffle, and then you've got the Fremantle basically representing that Fremantle corner of the state.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like it's becoming. There'll be a point where the big clubs, the clubs that generate their own revenue and are solvent, and you look at Adelaide. I mean, we worked our asses off to self-fund during COVID. I mean, why the hell should we have done that? Our constitution is already AFL owned. Why the hell did we have to go out and borrow $650 million off our own bat?
I'm in 100% agreement with everything you've said, mate. Everything.
I mean, obviously that's how a good footy club operates, because they want to be self-sufficient. But when you look at the bigger picture, and when you look at the fact that these teams are basically part of an entertainment industry, then where's the benefit? There's no benefit.
Well, I just can't see what bringing Tasmania coming in is going to bring positively to the competition. I can quote you plenty of negatives, both financial and the illogicality of the competition.
Well, financially, it's not viable. It's not a financially viable proposition. That was borne out in numerous case studies and whatnot. It's not. If the case for having Tasmania is a financial one, then the case can't be made. So it's more about I don't know, just having another football state in, I guess.
Well, I know that's what they're thinking, but where does it start? Where does it stop? For God's sake.
Well, I think it stops at 20 teams, but I would argue with you that 20 teams needs a foundation that's pretty solid in terms of being able to generate young footballers. And we've got a situation where Victoria might themselves start to complain. You watch, they'll start to complain because all the Victorian talent's been drained away from Victoria. Just the same as we've been experiencing for years and years and years. And, once it becomes unviable for Victorian clubs, once the Collingwoods and the Richmonds of the world start to think, well, shit, what's in it for us now? And Chad, no, we haven't done team selection, and we'll do it when we're ready. Once the Victorian clubs start to fail to see the benefit of it, that's when shit will hit the fan.
Well, I reckon if you had a vote of the average person, of average football follower in Australia, I don't think you would get over 50% saying they want Tasmania in the competition. I mean, it's obviously going to vary. A lot of people will say, yes, I want them in because it sounds good. But when you really get down to the basics of what it's going to mean in terms of finances, what it's going to mean in terms of the buy situation, what it's going to mean in terms of the teams that are down the bottom of the ladder, and Tasmania's got picked one out of the first 20 picks. Tasmania's got 12 or 14 of them. So there's the chances for the bottom teams, existing bottom teams, to get off the bottom is going to be very, very difficult, and they're going to be doomed just because of the timing of when they brought Tasmania in. They're going to be doomed to be down there for years. Well, Tassie's getting the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So,
and there's been talk this week again. Dylan's come out and addressed what people are saying about the uneven competition. Kane Corns has been talking about the inequalities in the system, and the way the VFL or AFL have addressed it previously is to manipulate things. But there's only so many levers you can pull, and it becomes a simple case of mathematics. There's not enough good players in, so the quality of the competition degrades, and you can have all the equalisation you want, but if there's not enough good players, then the good players are going to gravitate through one means or another to the better clubs. And Dylan was talking about the free agency situation. Well, I think the free agency thing has been an absolute failure because it hasn't resulted in a good spread of quality players across teams in the competition. It's resulted in those players wanting to move to clubs that are potentially successful. So that's failed, and I don't see how they could possibly manipulate the free agency situation any further to try and get some sort of parity going. So I don't know what the hell he's on about, but I think they got shit for brains, and I think they're actually heading for a bit of a crash in the coming years because they're just not going to be able to sustain this expansion.
Totally agree with that, 100%. 100%.
Anyway, people are getting bored with that, Macca, so we better go on and talk about the next game because, Jad's got to go to bed and all that sort of stuff, so we'd hate to see him turn into...
Don't rubbish him, mate. He's a good guy. He writes some good stuff.
I do what I bloody well want.
All right, you just be fiend then. Just be
Thanks,
fiend.
I will. Jad knows I'm only kidding around, Jesus. The Vardy's right. He's on holidays. He won't turn into a bloody pumpkin. All right, so we've got on Saturday at 5:35, which is a bloody weird time. Why is it at 5:35? That's not right, is it?
It could well be. It could well be.
I mean, it's not that I don't trust my wonderful stat system, but I don't trust my wonderful stat system.
7:05.
7:05. I think my little program is corrected for Eastern States time or something or other the wrong way, like daylight savings the wrong way. Anyway, so it's at 7:05, not 5:35. Sorry about that. At Adelaide Oval. Of course, we have done pretty well against St Kilda in recent times. We've last three starts we've beaten them relatively comfortably, Macca. We've had like 60 odd points and then 30 odd points and then another 60 odd points. So they haven't troubled us, but they do have the it's not my VPN, Sam. They do have the $2 million man.
They do, and he's very good. He's very good. Even when tagged, he was still very good.
Yeah, so look, I think this is possibly the most important game we'll play this season, Macca.
It's pivotal at this point of time. It just turns out that you're quite right, because at where we're at in terms of wins and losses, and win this one, and we're setting ourselves up for a run against some easier teams, lose it, and then we're really sort of struggling in terms of wanting to get up into the top echelon, for finals time. St Kilda, they played here on the last weekend, as you know, and gathered around, and a pretty smart move on their part. They've stayed here for all this week so they've removed travelling back home. They've removed travelling back here. So really, they just can get on with just leading a normal life. and just do their training, etc. And I just think that was a very good move. I just don't think they'll be easy for us. Wanganeen Miller is an outstanding player, and I know that we've stated that we're going to tag him. What we will, in all probability, will tag him, but I would hate to be the one that's trying to chase him. I don't know who we've got that could do it. Who would you use, Fiend?
Who else have they got off halfback, Macca? St Kilda.
St Kilda, who have they got off halfback?
Yeah, apart from Nasiah,
Well,
who else have they got running off halfback?
Well, Sinclair runs around, and Windhager runs around. So they're both very good players.
You know what I would do? I would go and park Isaac Rankin right next to Nasiah.
Go on.
That's it. I would put Rankin on Nasiah. I would say to Nasiah, well, you've got one of the most dynamic players in the competition to worry about, and I'm going to stand next to you, and what are you going to do about that? Are you going to run off me? And then when Ranks comes off, I'd put Rash next to him. I would make Wanganeen Miller accountable for our best small forward all night. All night.
Yeah, but you say... I just think the natural tendency of those two players you're talking about is to be ball hunters themselves rather than worrying about what Wanganeen Miller is doing. That would be the danger in that. You really need a player that's dedicated to forego his game to make sure that Wanganeen Miller can't
No. Matthew, Nick, sorry, we're not playing the negating game. It's our home deck. We've got two of the most dynamic midfield forwards in the competition in Rochelle and Rankin. Nasiah plays a freewheeling roll-off halfback and then plays through the middle as well. Yes. Absolutely not. You make him accountable. Absolutely make him accountable.
Well, it'd be interesting to see that work. But
you're not going to tag him. Who's going to tag him? No one's been able to tag him today.
Well, I was repeating that Nixon's saying that he's thinking of doing it.
Well, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I'm surprised Nix didn't come out of retirement and do it himself. He's the only bloke he trusts.
Oh, dear. Yeah, we don't have a natural tagger in our team anyhow.
We do. Hugh Bond is the natural tagger.
Oh, sorry, we did use Hugh in that position last year. Look, Wanganeen Miller is such a good player. He gets the ball even when he's tag playing.
He's not Jesus.
Well,
he's not Donald Trump, Macca. He's just a player with two arms and two legs, and we've got a couple of those as well.
We do. I can understand that there's a sort of a logic to it because what you're saying is put class with class.
No, I'm saying make him accountable. That's all I'm saying. Make him accountable. We've got two blokes. He plays halfback mid. We've got two blokes that play half forward mid. Yep. And they're both. Well, Rush is in cracking form and Ranks just moving into some form and would love the challenge.
I see it.
Yeah, we don't need to repeat everything that happens in the chat, Mac. Let's talk about this.
Okay. Look, it's not what I would do, but it's. I think we will have trouble containing him anyhow. So if that may well work in the sense it could lead our players to the ball all the time, and then they will run off him as well.
Come on, man. You whinge about Adelaide being negative, and then all I've heard from you is negative, negating crap. Isaac Rankin and Josh Rochelle do not need to be led to the ball to find it.
No, they don't. I understand.
Well, so what are you talking about?
Well, neither does Wanganeen Miller. So they'll all be going for the ball at the same time. That's
right. You said that Nasiah would lead them to the ball. They don't need to be led to the ball.
Well, but maybe a mistake in the way I put it. But what I meant was by that is that they'll be both in the play anyhow, whether they meant to be tagging or not.
That's good. That's the way I'd like it.
Well, you got it.
Because there's no point in putting a Benny Keys on him or a bloody Hugh Bond or a Chase Jones or Max Michelani. Why? Why would we bother doing that? He's not the Messiah. He's getting decent numbers at the moment, but our boys are getting decent numbers too. And I'd rather say to Ross the boss, like, come and chase our blokes. What are you going to do about our blokes?
Yeah, look, I just think, however it plays, whether it's along the lines of what you're saying, or whether it's done if they go to the conventional way, it won't really matter much because Wanganeen Miller is good enough to still get like 25, 30 possessions. But the advantage is, of course, if that is the way you match it up, I think our bloke would get a lot of the ball as well. So it could work for him.
Well, it's not a matter of working; it's just a matter of playing blokes in their position and backing them in.
Yep. So what you're really saying is don't tag.
I don't want him tagged. I just like if Rash and Rankin get 25 and 2 each, and Wanganeen Miller gets 30 and 2. Who's won the matchup?
No, I see where you're coming from. If we end up with that result, I'll be very happy.
So yeah, I don't want us to tag him. I think that'd be a robbing Peter to pay Paul. I think there are some other issues as well. Anyway, they've got a relatively good midfield, but we have to start quickly. I said on Sunday night, I think Sam Berry, if he was being self-critical, he would looked at the tapes on Monday and seen how flat-footed and reactive he was. And I hope he takes it on board because he needs to be up and about and on his toes and proactive at the beginning of the game from the first bounce. And I hope the coaching staff and Nathan Van Berlo, if he's in charge of setups in the centre, just has a look at how we're set up because at the moment we are just very negative, and I think Nathan has forgotten what it's like to rove to a ruckman who actually wins some possessions, wins some taps.
Yeah, you might be right about that. This is quite novel for us in recent years.
And I think McAndrew is going to have a really good tussle with TDK. TDK is a good player, obviously, but McAndrew's been doing well, and I've continued to be impressed with his ability to adapt during the course of a game. Looked like Pitnet was going to get hold of him early against Carlton and Mac, but I felt like he adapted really well and negated that matchup after quarter time. Did you?
Yeah, that's a good call, that one. It was a very interesting tussle because you're quite right. Pitnet got in top early, but and this is where McAndrew gets votes from me because he fought back very strongly against him, and I thought in the end probably just marginally took the honours. And a very good effort by McAndrew. And you talked about TDK. I think he is possibly one of the most overrated players in the competition. I really do.
He's certainly getting paid on potential at the moment.
I just don't see the magic that people are talking about with him. I'll back McAndrew to beat him quite comfortably. Because I
wouldn't say to be comfortable because I think TDK is potentially better than him around the ground.
He'll take an occasional marker around the ground, but I just don't see he's as good as he's being paid. I think he's being overpaid. That's just my opinion. I knew that. Look, I'm not saying he's not any good, but I just don't think he's a super level guy. I just think he's
he's being paid on potential at the moment.
Yeah,
he's only a kid.
And McAndrew is, I think he improves every time he goes round, and I'm quite happy that he'll take TDK on and actually beat him for getting the taps. I'm sure of that.
But so we need to look at our setup in the middle. We need to have a look at our attitude in the middle. We can't afford, I don't think, to let St Kilda get off to a start because I think working our way back into the game against St Kilda with Ross Lyon, putting everyone plus his grandma in the back half once they get 3 goals up will just make things very difficult. And I think the only team that plays a comparable slow chippy game to us at the moment, or what we have been playing at times, is St Kilda. And I think we need to make sure that we come at them rather than just play a game between two 50-metre arcs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I want more out of the forward line actually, because they do have a very good back line. Wilkie in defence has been outstanding, as has Sinclair, and Silvani's been more than serviceable. So they've got a pretty good line back there. And so I'd really want to see our forwards, Walker as one, of course, and Thilthorpe. They've got to really, and well, I'd like to see them, if they can break even or get on top, that would be good. And I'd like to see the Rankin and Rochelle just sharking for anything loose down the bottom. But I don't think they're going to be easy. But I think that if you look at us at our best and them at their best, I think we're about a 4 or 5 goal better side at least.
I don't know whether I'm prepared to make that call.
I said at our best.
At our best. I don't know. Are we equipped to be at our best at the moment? Maybe. We certainly haven't got our best team on the park.
No, we can only talk about what we've got.
Yeah.
And what we've got is, probably a little bit less than what our maximum is. But I still think, apart from the slow starts, we've played well for the other 3 quarters of every game. So if we can put in 4 good, at least break even in the first quarter or win the first quarter, would be nice. But we do play a strong last 3 quarters. So, yeah, I'm thinking that it's got to be at least a 4 or 5 goal win.
Well, it's vital for the team's chances, in my opinion. It's probably the most important game that we'll play pre-bye, in my opinion, Macca. Lose this and we're down 2-4. Win this and we're back to parity 3-3. And we're back to parity in terms of home ground wins as well. Lose another one at home, I think, is really problematic against a team that is going to be probably in the mix for the same spots that we're going to be chasing. So
yeah, I agree.
I think this is the club and the team need to throw everything at it. Now, the problem with that, Mac, and I'm conscious of time here, we only got a few minutes left, so we won't labour the point too much, but the problem that we've had in the past, when faced with these sort of circumstances, a game that we must win, our selection and our coaching tends to be very, 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 very conservative. Do you see that happening again?
Well, that is, sadly, that's true. That is true. But I don't think there's that many options available to them. The only potential changes or players that they could use are players coming back from injury. Pedler and Butts, do they come back straight in, or do you make them play one in the sample first? Do you rest Saligo with his ankle? I would. If you're resting Saligo, do you bring in somebody from the twos? Do you bring in the blokes that perform really well in Dowling and
well, Pedler
Charlie
comes in for Saligo. Pedler would come in for Saligo if he's ready to go.
But it's not really like for like though, Ben.
Saligo's been playing as a permanent forward.
Yes, but I think the more mids you've got, the better.
Saligo has not been playing midfield. He's been playing permanent forward.
Well, best, but all last year he was a midfielder last year, all year.
But that's not where he's playing at the moment. And he's not even if he got picked this week, he wouldn't be playing in the midfield. His ankle's not right.
Yeah, then I was about to say the reason he hasn't been playing in the midfield was because of his ankle.
Well, no, his ankle. He did that in the third quarter last week.
Yeah,
the reason he hasn't been playing midfield is because he's had a restricted pre-season.
Yeah. Well, who would you bring in, Pete?
I just told you, Luke Pedler.
No, but as well.
Well, Butts comes in for Borlays. Pedler comes in for Saligo if he's unfit. We've got to cover Hinge. You know that they're going to bring in Chase Jones. I would love for them to drop Luke Nankervis back to halfback and bring
That would
in
make-
and bring in either. I don't think they're going to debut anyone this week. As someone said in the chat, we would have heard about it by now. So it's either going to be Chase Jones or Hugh Bond, in my opinion. And I would hope that they go Hugh Bond.
Well, if you look at go back and look at performance, you can't play Jones. You just cannot play Jones.
Well, yeah, I know, but we've said that before. So, I mean, we know that they don't feel the same way. I would imagine that they'll go with Jones.
Well, yeah, I hope not. I really hope not, but you could well be right.
Well, only on the back of their selection history. I certainly wouldn't pick him. I wouldn't pick him again for the club. And I would certainly be picking, if it was a choice between him and Hugh Bond, I'd be picking Hugh Bond. Personally,
Yes,
I'd
I
be
agree.
giving Charlie Edwards a debut.
That's what I would like to see. That's
yeah,
really
but
what
I
I would
just-
like to see.
But here we are Tuesday night. Usually they'd announce their debutants or potential debutants by now, and they haven't. So I would imagine it's someone who's already played in the team so far this season. We know that Nick's likes his best 25. Edwards doesn't appear to be in it. Dowling doesn't appear to be in it. Draper's not ready yet by all accounts. So that leaves Jones or Bond.
Well, yeah, the logic is correct, and I think that sadly you might be right. But I hope not. I really, really hope not.
Well, as I said, my pick of the two would be Bond, purely because we've seen what we're going to get from Chase, and Chase was horrendous against Freo a couple of weeks ago.
4 possessions or
Horrendous.
something, wasn't it? Terrible.
Yeah, well, it was nothing. It was, and the possessions that he did get, a couple of them were burnt. So, you know, Nankervis probably for mine gets first shot at halfback.
Yeah, agree with that one.
Pedler in for Saligo if Saligo's not ready. I think they'll try to get Pedler back in the side anyway, which would mean that he might actually come in for Hinge and they just drop Nankervis back and Pedler becomes a bit of a rotation with Zach Taylor.
That could be. That will work.
I think Butts, if he's fit, I think Paulos has done an excellent job as a pinch hit.
Surprised
but
me. Yeah.
Well, he generally does a good job. Like you get what you get with Paulos, but there's plenty worse key defenders, and he's for 192 centimeters. But I think we need Butts for Max King if Butts is fit. Max King's playing.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, Butts coming in. Definitely. As long as, he hasn't got any after effects from the concussion.
Yeah, even if Max King's not playing, I think we bring Butts in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I think
So
it sums up pretty well there, Pete. I think that's Pedler for one, Butts for another. But who'd you have for the third? Oh, Bob, probably.
Well, no. If Saligo doesn't come out, Hinge obviously comes out. I think they'll bring in Pedler for Hinge and move Nankervis back to the halfback line.
Right.
And then Borlase comes in for Butts. Butts comes in for Borlase.
Yeah.
Nothing else to say, Mac? All right. Well, good. It's been a nice chat.
I think we've sort of done it to death, really. I think that's about.
Yeah. All right. Your selection then?
Well, I think we'll win it. And I'm thinking around about 27 points. Yeah, 27 points.
Yeah. No, I think we're going to lose.
You said that last week as well.
When at quarter time looked like we were going to.
Yeah, and I was reasonably close to the margin. I said 36 points last week. And
Yeah, we're only worried about this week. So, I think, unfortunately, I can see the whole air of conservatism getting in our way, Macca, and I don't have any faith in Matthew Nicks in must-win situations, and we haven't been good in situations where we've been touted to win and expected to win and kind of must win, if you know what I mean. I just don't think we're very good under those circumstances.
Well, if we want to be an AFL team that plays finals and is capable of winning finals eventually, we must win this game. We do have to win this game, and when we have to,
it doesn't mean
we have to. I think if I was Nicky, I'd be treating this as a final, because the point you made is quite valid about the difference between winning it with where we sit on the ladder and where we. If we win, we're in a reasonably good situation because we've squared the ledger. We've got some easy games coming up, or relatively easy games coming up. Lose and we make it very hard for ourselves. So I just think we'll win it because I think we just.
I don't want Matthew Nicks to treat it as a final because he's never won one.
Well, that's true, but
that's my whole point.
Well, however Nicks treats it, I think we've got the players out there that can win it.
Very good. Well, we will see. Look, we'll wrap it up there. I think we've hit the 2-hour mark, so people are sick of us talking, Mac. And look, thanks to everyone who's joined and stuck around on Discord and on YouTube. Don't forget, if you are listening on YouTube after the event, you can give us a subscribe and a like. It helps us with our algorithms, etc. The support this year has been fantastic. Macca, thanks, mate, for getting through your headache and getting on board tonight.
Oh, I lost it. Yeah, actually, it was good because I was quite interested in what we were talking about, and I lost my headache, so that was good.
That's great. I tend to cure headaches, mate.
Oh God, you're sounding like somebody in America at the moment.
No, it's more like I've got a headache. Oh, I just ignore it.
Yeah, that'd be more like it. That would be more like it. Anyway,
Dad's got to go to bed. We got to go too, mate. It's been good, and everyone stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your weeks. We will see you back on Sunday night with Big Man for whatever it's called. What's it called again? Weekend Wrap.
Jeez.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night all.